Hey, it's Greg. This is the Square Pizza Pod, cooked up by Shermco. Hey everyone, it's Greg. Welcome back to the Square Pizza Pod. Excited for this episode for a number of reasons, but first I want to say thanks again, as always, for checking out the podcast and supporting it. We are officially in year 3 of the podcast, and if you follow us on social media, you've seen some of the recent data and growth numbers we've put out, so thanks again for all the support there. Second, really excited to kick off year 3 with our first guest, Mr. Tyrone, but many of you know him as Mr. Muggsy Bogues, obviously world famous for a number of reasons. It was really incredible getting him on the podcast to kick off year 3 of the podcast to talk more about his background, his memoir that he has coming out, and a few other really interesting insights that he offered up during the podcast. So excited to kind of bring this to you. I'm going to take a second to read a little bit from his bio, so you guys just get more of an understanding of how incredible Mr. Bogues is, and then we'll get right to the podcast. So Muggsy Bogues, was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. Played for a legendary high school team, the Dunbar Poets, who won 59 consecutive games and ranked as one of the top high school teams in the United States. Bogues went on to graduate from Wake Forest, where the school later retired his jersey number. Muggsy was selected 12th in the first round of the NBA draft by the Washington Bullets, and he retired from the NBA ranking 16th amongst all-time assist leaders. Throughout his career, he stayed busy starting in commercials and major productions like Space Jam. Shout out to Space Jam. Eddie and Curb Your Enthusiasm. Muggsy retired professionally, playing and ranking number 16 all-time at assists in the NBA, and still remains the shortest player in the history of the NBA. Since leaving the NBA, Muggsy has worked with nonprofits and has started the Muggsy Bogues Foundation, which is based here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he resides with his family. Muggsy is also an ambassador of the NBA and traveling the world educating youth. You can find out more about him and the work at theboguesfoundation.org. And without further ado, excited to bring you this Square Pizza Podcast episode with Mr. Muggsy Bogues. All right, Mr. Bogues. Well, perfect. Again, welcome to the Square Pizza Pod. Thanks so much for joining today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
So, we're going to get to all the amazing stuff you've done in your career in Charlotte and the NBA, and the book that's come out that I'm really excited to read. But our research told us that you did a little bit of wrestling in high school. Is that true?
That is true. Yeah, that was one of my first passions. It came with no criteria. You only have to be the strong or quick, and that mainly was it. And I was both of those. And I really enjoyed it. It just so happened that it ran into the same season of basketball. And
right.
Once I got to high school, I had to pick and choose.
And you grew up in Baltimore, right?
Grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and the city of Baltimore, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say at some point you had to, because I grew up in Ohio, so wrestling and basketball was the same season. So I was going to ask how you did both, or like when you made that decision of like one trumped the other.
Yeah, I didn't have to make it till high school.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough during my elementary and junior high school. I still was fortunate enough to be able to do both. And but once I got to high school, that's where it ran into the same season. And basketball at that time, of course, it was something that was kind of gravitating me a little more than wrestling.
Some of the videos I saw, I'm not going to name a few names, but said you had to put on your wrestling skills in the locker room with a few former teammates. I'm not going to put them on blast necessarily, but, our listening audience can maybe go find those videos on their own. We like to be, we want to be positive on the podcast.
Right. Yeah, that's some fun times. And I should say my former teammates love telling those stories, especially Ken DeGale. I mean, it just so happened, one of my teammates wanted to test me, and I told him, he shouldn't do that. I was strong and I was pretty quick, and those things still, just like riding a bike, you never forget.
That's right. Well, it only takes one time, right? Somebody gets out of line, and they got to come to the literal mat. It only takes once to pin them before they don't mess with you again.
Yeah, that's all it took. It was that one opportunity presented itself, and that was it.
So I got to ask at least one current NBA question. You spent 14 incredible seasons in the NBA, but the playoffs are just starting. I know our
our Charlotte Hornets are sadly no longer in it formally, but curious if you got a dark horse or a contender who you think's going to win the ship this year.
Well, I'm rooting for my man CP.
Okay.
I think,
Chris Paul.
Being my former fellow Deacon,
That's right.
I like to see him have an opportunity to win one before it's all said and done.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been playing unbelievable basketball as well as his team. Since the Hornets is no longer in it, and I'm kind of still a little biased about Stephen, him having his opportunity, but he got 3 of them already, so I want to see Chris get one before his time's over. They've been playing pretty good basketball. Monty deserved it as well, the way he's been coaching his coaching staff. They had an opportunity last year, and I think this year they kind of tasted again, and things been lining up for them to kind of, see it come to a fruition. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think I agree. I know they had a heartbreak last year the way the Suns went out, but I'm a Chris Paul fan as well, and they're definitely well suited to get the W.
Yeah, that'd be a good treat to sit back and watch and witness, before his career is over with.
Yep. And you've been a Charlotte staple for so long, obviously in Charlotte, but you've seen the community grow so much. Just curious, like what's the best thing you've seen happen in Charlotte, or just what surprised you about the growth in Charlotte for how long you've been here?
Oh, I love it all.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first came, we was out on Tyrone playing in the Coliseum,
That's right, yeah. A little different. Tyvola looks a little different now in the Coliseum than it did, right?
Absolutely. And you only had about 25 to 50 people living downtown, or uptown, I should say.
Total, 52.
Yeah, living uptown. So that's a whole new transformation right there, where we got thousands uptown, and a new type of, city there, I should say. It's just a whole new experiment for a lot of people to go and galvanize. I mean, you got parks now, you got the baseball arena, everything is located in one place. But then you got to look around the surrounding areas where a lot of communities popped up. You got Blakely, you got Valentine wasn't even here. So we got a lot of things that's out here that's been definitely complimentary for the state, for the city, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
Yeah, and so much of your book, talks about Charlotte, but just your whole career and your life, and so just curious, like what, and we're gonna plug the book to make sure our audience sees it, but this memoir that you wrote is really well done. What are you hoping people will take away from the book, Mr. Bogues?
Well, I've lived a lot. I had the opportunity to kind of live, having my little journey, go through my journey. Hopefully they can get something out of this book, because we all have some sort of things that we kind of relate to. And for me, being a guy that just overcame so much, not just on the court, but off the court, and been able to impact so many people, people that I played with, current players today as well. So mainly it's about relationships, about a passion that a kid, not just a kid, a person chased each and every day, how he was able to impact, again, the current and present players, relationship with me and my wife, being able to get back together with one another after we divorced for 10 years, and which is kind of unheard of in these days. But that journey, that learning experience, being a boy when I was doing that process, and I felt like you grew into a man once, you've been through the things that you had to go through, all the adversity, and coming out on the other side and being able to, get back to one another and rekindle what we started in terms of our family. And also giving back to the community, giving back to the community, things that have given me so much. Trying to make sure that we empower these families as well as the kids and give them an opportunity to live a better quality life. So hopefully that someone can just take some positivity from this and kind of put it in their own lenses, and just hopefully, kind of gravitate and say, well, if he did it, maybe I can overcome it as well.
Yeah, I think there's so many stories and examples from the book, but in your life, of course, that you spoke to that will be inspiring to so many. Curious about like what it is about you or maybe your past that has kind of allowed you to be so driven to overcome so much adversity and challenges in your life, where I think others, right, could quit or easily give up, but that's not something you chose to do. So curious what what it is that makes you so excited about overcoming so many challenges.
Well, it started from my upbringing,
Yeah.
where I came from, and the inner city of Baltimore, being small, going through changes and trying to pursue a game that many felt shouldn't be played by small guys, should be played only by big and taller players. I mean, then going through that in dramatic experience of getting shot at the age of 5 years old, that does something to your mind, so that it was able to change my mindset to where it allowed me to focus more on my craft and not worry about the words that people with the negative things that you were saying about me, about yourself. That drive, that's pretty much a big driving force for you. Then my situation, seeing my pops get thrown in prison and my mom had to, take on the family, only having an 11th grade education and had to go back to school to refine herself. So witnessing all of that, that was something that I wanted to change the narrative, not only for myself, but for my family.
Yeah, I think, right, so much we can take away from that, but just the quality of persistence and grit, right? And everybody kind of has their own lived experiences and where they grew up in that. But I think just that persistence in sports, but also in professional life, I think so much of the greatest people I've worked with, or the greatest leaders I've worked with, are just really persistent and know things are going to come and do their best to kind of accept them and keep going as they can.
That's the confidence they have within themselves, because everybody don't believe in what you believe in. Mm-hmm. So you got to continue to stay on that course and stay on that way of changing, folks, trajectory of people's mindset in terms of what you're capable of doing. So that was for me, in order to continue I was breaking down barriers in the mindset because polo coaches wanted big gods. So, and the only way I can, show them that everybody has that opportunity and has that ability to do it is by going out there and displaying it to the best I could do it in a way where it had the same impact, if not more, than what a bigger, taller player may have.
And imagine, or maybe imagine or just ask, don't want to assume anything, of course, but, overcoming each adversity or challenge allows you to kind of bank more and more confidence, right? Allows you to give you more momentum to the next one, to believe in yourself even more, knowing that each kind of challenge makes you or any leader kind of level up each time. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the driving force. That's the pinnacle in terms of want to continue to see that success once anything that you put your mind to it. I mean, and it gives you that confidence once you do it once. Okay, well, I know I could do this because I was able to do that. And so it's just the belief that you have within yourself, and hopefully that, but I always say even failure is also a part of success. When you overcome those type of adversity, that's how we learn, because, it only take one time. You fail about 50 times, it only take that one successful time, and then, you're able to overcome all those things that, you was trying at the beginning. So persistence is everything.
Yeah, it's that failing part, but then the keep going part, right? Because I think
Absolutely.
that's when the learnings come in, is when you take the lessons learned from that failure and put it into work for the next one that allows you to kind of keep it pushing in a positive way.
Without a doubt. Absolutely.
And you not only did you talk about obviously your personal life growing up and NBA, but you were pretty vulnerable relationship wise, and you kind of alluded to it too with your wife and your family and getting back together. And I probably need, all the relationship advice I can get. So curious, like what you hoping people will get from your story and kind of, building your family.
Well, mainly, when you decide to build a family, and you got to be understanding that it's a partnership. It's a partnership, and the way you mainly can't lose sight of that. And and I got caught up in the craft that I was involved in, my basketball. That driving force to keep your mind in other places, and you lose sight of some of the obligations that that you had laid out at the beginning, and then you look at the failures and the things that you've done that contributed to the things not working out, where it caused a point to where you became separated. Mm-hmm. You came not want to be with one another. And as a man, you got to look yourself in the mirror and face that reality. And I was able to do that. Even though we moved on to other relationships, but when, again, tragedy had struck, and, she was there for me as well, and being able to, console me and comfort me, and when times were difficult. And that's kind of unusual. That's not normal, I should say, in terms of when people divorce. But they was able to do that for me, and in the same process, we was able to find our happy moment, a happy place again, a comfortable place. So I just want people to realize that people go through changes, people make mistakes, people mess up. Some a little too far to come back from, but I never say it's too far to come back from. It's always about forgiveness and being able to get back to that happy space. But everybody's not comfortable getting back there. But being cordial and respectful is always a place where you should be, and that's something that we was able to do and turn that respect and translate that into comfort, to where we was able to find one another again.
Yeah, man, I think it's great. You can be so vulnerable and open in the book. I commend you for that. But also just hearing a lot of like kind of self-ownership and balance, what you said of like looking at yourself in the mirror, understanding, maybe getting caught up or too focused in basketball. I think I heard you say, but just how important that partnership is, but balancing in your own right as a man and a professional of kind of where you're spending your time and attention as well.
Yeah, you have to do that. You really do. I mean, because again, that's what you signed up for, and nothing should deteriorate you or take you away from that partnership that you signed up for. And that's how we just start to lose one another, because the communication starts to lack, the respect, and all of a sudden start to lack, and then all of a sudden, everybody starts in the guess mode. What is he thinking? What is she thinking? And is he really doing that or she really doing that? Then that start to get in a place where it become uncomfortable when it starts to bring the things to where the disconnect starting to really become more of a separation, and that's not good for anyone.
Yeah, and I know you spoke about your family and kind of want to transition to the incredible work your foundation is currently doing, and you kind of started with your mom. My mom is on our team, the Shermco team, so shout out to my mom, but all the wonderful moms out there as well. But curious if you could share more, Mr. Bogues, about the family foundation and what you guys are doing in Charlotte.
Yeah, I did start it back in 1999 when I was in Baltimore, and it was to Always Believe. And we had a learning facility back in Baltimore. My mom passed away in 2001. That kind of hurt me, and it kind of, took my spirits away, and I shut it down for quite some time. And then when my daughter Brittany graduated in 2009 from Wake Forest, she kind of nudged me and encouraged me to revisit the foundation again. And we reopened it in 2013, and then we changed the name from Always Believe to the Muggsy Bogues Family Foundation in 2014, so we could be able to now address the issues that we're so passionate about, which is empowering the at-risk youth and families to live a better quality life, addressing the food insecurity, access to an education and job training. And we have partnered with CPCC, who has given us, who's oversee our scholarship program for the trade-bound skilled students that be awarded those scholarships. And of course, we have partnered with so many folks in the community in our Labor of Love events that we kind of give back to the communities on Labor Day, and Thanksgiving, as well as right around Christmas. And those are three pillars that we try to continue to feed families. Hopefully we could do it a lot more on a consistent basis, but those are our three pillars that we kind of get out there and feed the communities, which we was fortunate to feed over 1,500 families thus far.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that work is incredible. And excuse me, so much of, I love the focus on the vocational opportunities and the scholarships, that aligns with so much with our day-to-day work and what we do. Curious of how you guys landed on deciding to choose and focus on the vocational opportunities and the scholarships for those 4 local students each year.
Well, for me, it was just a matter of knowing what was out there and knowing that everybody is focusing on the IT kids, the 4-year university kids, and a lot of these kids who work with their hands, who are very skillful, who got ideas in terms of, building their own business and working with other companies right away. And who has, and I always felt like having a skill always give you that advantage in terms of these companies love what you're capable of bringing, what you're bringing to the table. And that sometimes gives you an easier path as opposed to just having a 4-year education where it's broader. So I just felt the need and wanted to give these parents and these kids that type of resource where they have a platform to kind of to grow from, to try to better lessen their financial aspects of it, and give them more of a focus to where they can just mainly concentrate on the education part.
Yeah, I think probably so much of what you've seen is some real money and some real career opportunities to be made in the trade and the skills, and now more than ever. So kudos to you guys for being ahead of the curve and doing that. Well,
I appreciate that. And we're trying to work with some companies where we can also have like internship programs where they can kind of start growing them from that perspective. So now they can have, they can be working with kids and continue to have that innovative program going for years to come. So where they ain't got to be out looking for hiring these type of individuals, where it'll be in-house, hopefully. We would say.
Yep. Yeah, we'll make sure we kind of share links, if that's cool with you, for the foundation and the book, of course, so our community can check that out.
Absolutely. Please do.
Get you out of here on a few maybe rapid-fire, semi-fun questions, Mr. Bogues, if that's cool.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Maybe start with an easy one. Best teammate of all time, if you could only choose one.
Oh, come on. I got too many of them. I got
top
so
three.
many.
We'll give you top three.
I got so many. I got the late Moses Malone, the late Muggsy Bogues. I got Larry Johnson. I got Del Curry. I got Lonzo Mourning. I got Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. Charles. Okay, who else you want me to
say? That's a good crew. That's a good crew to play pickup with any day of the week.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever just like bring a crew to Charlotte and just show up to the Y and just like work people? I feel like, I know you guys are busy and should do it, but I feel like just to punk somebody every day, y'all should just show up to the Y and do that.
Everybody got to be in shape to do that. You know what I'm saying? And watch some of these guys right now are a little older.
Yeah.
And then you can imagine, and they got a little gray on their face. It's going to be a little difficult getting them up and down the court.
I think I'd still choose you guys in a pickup game, though. What's one thing our audience can do to support your work, Mr. Bogues?
Well, as you say, go to the Muggsy Bogues Family Foundation.org and look at all the things that we're doing and get involved with helping us financially, either spiritually, voluntarily. We need prayers. We need it all. So we're looking for it all. Any way that you can assist, if we got a place for you. We're just trying to make it a better life for these families and these kids. And anybody who got that type of heart and that passion to make sure that they have a better way of doing it, then we all be open arms.
Of course, the most important question. So, this podcast is named the Square Pizza Pod. Curious what Square Pizza reminds you of?
Say that again. I missed you. Went in and out on me.
Sorry. Curious what Square Pizza reminds you of?
Square Pizza?
Mm-hmm.
A Square Pizza. Well, unfortunately for me, that I don't like cheese.
Oh.
So I don't need it.
Is that right? Dang it. See? Research didn't tell me that. I found out you're a wrestler, but no cheese.
And that's something I like. I like a pizza with no cheese, just the sauce and the topping.
Okay.
But a Square Pizza would tell me that, I think about the four corners that North Carolina used to run.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this.
And it kind of lines up with Phil Ford doing that thing out there. I hate to put Carolina in.
I was going to say, as a Deacon, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, that's tough for the Tar Heel to come off my tongue. But when I think of a square pizza, I think of the four corners, and that reminds me of Phil Ford.
So just no cheese whatsoever on anything? We're going to go on a rabbit hole now, but you're just not feeling cheese.
No cheese on anything. No cheese on anything.
Things I didn't think we were going to talk about today. This is perfect. Mr. Bogues, any final words you want to leave our community with?
I just want to say I really appreciate you, Greg, allowing me to come on the show, and I wish you nothing but success, and I hope the listeners got a kick out of what we talked about, and hope they go out and support my book. It's a great read. I've lived a little. I impact some lives out there. I think it's a heartfelt book. It's an opportunity for, you kind of learn some of the behind the scenes that I had to go through and I had to endure to become the guy that I am And I just appreciate that, all the support that folks have been out there and been giving me over these years.
Yeah, we'll definitely make sure to do that. And again, just thank you so much for joining and for all you've done. Certainly been an inspiration to a kid that grew up in Toledo, Ohio, and now get to share the same city with you in Charlotte, but really appreciate all you've done and all you continue to do in the world.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
That's great. Thanks, Mr. Bogues.
Okay, have a good one.
Thanks so much for checking out the Square Pizza Pod, making a few selfish requests. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps spread the word about the podcast, and share this with a friend. We appreciate it. Thanks.